Hi everyone, I'm Savan.
Hello, listeners. This is Ronnie, and welcome to Surface Scratchers, the show where we scratch the surface of some topics that aren't often discussed in social circles with a bit of hastily done, somewhat shabby research so that you don't have to do this research when talking to your friends.
Okay, so today's discussion is something that really talks to all of us a lot, and it's food, right? And food often you think you know it well because you're so close to it, you know where it's from and how often you consume it. But many a times, food is not from where you think it is. And the most common example that most of us know are French fries, right? So everyone knows French fries are not really French and they're Belgian. And how this happened, if I had to just sum up the story, is back in the day in Wallonia, which is the French speaking south of Belgium, they would fry these thin fish, river fish. Okay. One day, the river got contaminated and they couldn't fry the fish anymore. So they cut potatoes, which was, uh, you know, uh, uh, extensively available in winters, especially. They cut it in the size of this fish. They deep fried it. They called it les frites. Then the American soldiers during the war, when they were in Belgium, saw this les frites, got confused. Why are people in Belgium speaking French, and just called it French fries, and the rest is history. But this time around, what Ron and I will try to do is give you stories closer to home of Indian foods, which have their origins surprisingly not in the country we live in. Without much further ado, Ron, over to you for number one.
So the first food item we look at now, since we were on the topic of French fries, is maybe the potato. So potatoes are
Okay.
very common in Indian cuisine, as we all know. But potatoes aren't native to India in the sense that they did not, uh, you know, weren't initially cultivated in India. The potato originated in South America, and this
Oh,
it's hypothesized that it's somewhere around the Peru, Bolivia, Andean region where potatoes were first grown, and and from there. This is going to be a recurring theme in the episode, at least from my end, is that the Portuguese are the chaps who brought in a lot of food from the New World, as this area was called, to other parts of the globe. So when the Portuguese had arrived in India in around the 15th 16th century, they brought the potato with them. Of course, by then it had reached Europe as well. And Samant, what is the Marathi word for potato?
batata, bro.
And batata is also the Portuguese word for
Yeah, yeah,
potato.
yeah. Correct. I
Correct.
think it's patata, right?
But I think it's
Okay.
batata.
Huh.
I think it's batata. And fun facts about potatoes: potato is now the world's fourth largest food crop. Any guesses on numbers one, two, and three, Samant?
Food crop. Food crop can be any food, no? And this is in volume, I'm guessing, right?
Huh, volume.
So it could be grain also, or
Yes.
no?
Grain
So
is rice is three, I think.
wheat,
Wheat is probably two or one.
uh, hmm.
Corn is the other one.
Okay, gone. Yeah,
And corn, of course, is used not just as maize corn, but also in a lot of uh, industrial applications to make ethanol and things like that as well.
got it.
So there are 5,000 varieties of potatoes now in the world, and
Yeah,
nearly all of them can be traced back to the origins in South America.
wow. But I always wonder, yeah, like Portuguese have had such an influence, especially where I am from. So in Bombay, or in Marathi rather, so many of the words are borrowed from Portuguese, man. Like, fun fact, uh, pagar in
Salary.
Portuguese is to pay, in Marathi it's salary.
Oh, I thought
Batata
pagar
is a
was Hindi.
नहीं तनख्वाह होता है ना हिंदी में.
Okay.
So pagar is pagar is literally the verb to pay in
Oh,
in Portuguese. So yeah, quite cool. Nice story, man, Ron.
Quite cool. Yeah, over to you, man.
Okay, batata equal to aloo, and can't think of a smart segue, so I'm just gonna think of जब तक रहेगा समोसे में आलू तेरा रहूंगा ओ मेरे शालू. So,
Is this from
my
a
food,
movie?
yeah, dude. How do you not
Okay,
know this?
I didn't know
Ron,
this.
your Bollywood knowledge has to,
We'll do something. We'll
level up
we'll
a little.
we'll do an episode on Bollywood.
Yeah, that's something you need some surface scratching on. Anyway, so samosa is my first item. So, Ron, of course, you've had samosa. Like, everyone has a favorite samosa, right? What's your favorite samosa?
This is probably going to be a little controversial. It's not the typical aloo samosa. So
Okay.
there's a bakery near where I live which makes decent chicken samosa. I like that chicken samosa.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, fun fact, most of the samosa in the world is meat filled. So, my favorite samosa, na bro, is my school samosa, Don Bosco High School Matunga samosa. It is by far the best samosa you will ever have in the world. It comes from this A1 samosa. Also, there's this famous restaurant in Bombay called Guru Krupa. So they have this really yummy samosas. Same thing we get it in our school also, with a slightly thicker pastry and a spicy potato filling. Man, we used to go crazy in school. It used to be for $3 a samosa, and people would get like two, three. And the moment you go to the canteen in the short recess, it would be packed with kids, all hands just going for those three samosas, give a 10 rupee note. And the moment you take the samosas and come out, there would be these vultures just waiting to, take some samosas. So there have been kids who've not bought a samosa in their school life and have just bummed it off people. And,
Yeah,
that
one
was
bite
quite
from
funny.
five people is more than one
हाँ,
samosa.
भाई एक bite देना एक bite. Then there would
Huh.
be those edge wale fanatics who would just want the
The
crispy
crust.
edges, the crust. Anyway, so samosas have a very cool story actually. Uh, you know, just taking some filling, whether it's spicy potato or meat, wrapping it in a pastry or a dough of any kind, and deep frying is not something unique, right? It's
Hmm.
there in possibly every single culture in the world. So samosa actually has its origins in Central Asia. It goes by the name of sambusak. Okay, actually there are two. One is, a lot of people say it comes from Persia, from Sambusag. A lot of people say it comes from Central Asia, which is the Stan countries, uh, where it comes from the Central Asian word for pyramids called samsa, and
Right.
that's why any fried pastry with filling in it that is triangular in shape, it
Pyramidical.
links to
Yeah.
a pyramid of sort, and hence called samsa. But what is really interesting is that, and of course, they got it to India, the Persians, with trade. And once, Ibn Battuta, right, the Moroccan
Traveler.
traveler, yeah, he was the one who actually chronicled samosa for the first time in India, when in Muhammad bin Taghlaq's courtroom, and he attributed it to Persia. So that's
Okay.
how it's fairly established that it's not really an Indian thing. But the thing is, samosas are really truly global snack. So yeah, so the Ethiopians have a lot of samosas. It goes as far as Brazil. So Brazil, all the Portuguese colonies, which is Brazil, Mozambique, Goa, and Portugal itself, have a samosa variant called Shamsha, CHAMUC, with the circumflex, the small
Huh.
one, the accent down A. So even when we happened to go to Portugal, we went to a Mozambican restaurant, and again, the highest selling starter there was samosa, and it tastes exactly the same. In East India, as you move from the north to the east, Bengal had its samosas from yesteryear. Like, it was called shingara, which is like, again, meat filling
Hmm.
with a slightly thinner filo pastry equivalent.
Okay.
So it's difficult to pinpoint where it actually came from. All history suggests it comes from Central Asia, just because of those Central Asian pyramids. But yeah, it's a truly, truly global snack. Uh, I thought that's quite cool. And
And
the great thing,
I wonder why it's pyramidical. Like the donut has the hole in the middle so that when it was being fried, often the center part wouldn't be fried as well.
yeah,
So they put a hole in it so the oil can touch the center part and get that fried as well. I wonder if the pyramidical shape has anything to do with frying optimization or something of that
Oh,
sort.
maybe, maybe we need to go slightly deeper on the surface to find that out. But yeah, so that's the story of the samosa. Not really Indian, and Guru Krupa or A1 or any of these famous Indian samosa guys possibly shouldn't take the credit for it being home bread.
Lovely, lovely. Right. So over the course of this episode, I think we should have set this context a little earlier. Is Savan's going to look at finished food products, and I look at ingredients that go into these food products, and again, ingredients that are pretty common in the Indian household and the Indian kitchen. So the next item that I'll talk about is the chili, and of course, chili is one item that contributes to the hotness in that sense of food, and this is a pretty basic taste that humans have and appreciate in their food. Before, of course, the chili came into the picture, peppers, the regular black pepper, was pretty common in the Malabar coast in India. That's in Kerala and in Bengal as well. And this was what was commonly used to spice up food in that sense. So no points for guessing this, but again, it is the Portuguese that got chilies to India. This time,
Is it called
it
mirchi in Portuguese also?
I have no idea what it's called in Portuguese, but it originated in Mexico, and I think Mexico was more Spanish probably than Portuguese. So probably the
I guess.
Spanish took it to Europe, and the Portuguese brought it from Europe to India. The only fun story that I could find out about chilies is, of course, chilies landed in Goa, which is where the Portuguese had their base, and the kingdoms around Goa at that time were, uh, the Marathas were an important kingdom,
Yo.
and there was a myth that Shivaji's army would consume a lot of chilies, and this consumption of chilies made them very angry and fiery adversaries to the Mughal Empire. And why the Mughals struggled a lot against the Marathas is because, Marathas used to have a lot of chilies. Today, India
Uh,
is the largest producer of dried red chilies in the world.
do you have data on per capita consumption? I wonder if we have the highest consumption of chilies also.
Possible. If you're looking at chilies in food items like red chili powder and Kashmiri red chili powder, I think that would contribute to a huge consumption. This
All right, moving on. So the next one that we really associate with being really strongly Indian is chai, right? Uh, of course, all of us know that tea did originate in China, but I think the extent or the popularity of it in Indian cuisines or in Indian consumption just makes it so surprising how it had nothing to do with India. So it obviously originated in China, then the British started adopting it, started loving it, wanted to find a cheaper way of making it. So they taught the cultivation techniques to the Northeast Indians. The rest is history. We are now the second biggest producers of tea. The interesting bit is how tea is consumed in India. We don't really have black tea like most of the world does, or green tea, or unadulterated tea. We always add milk and sugar and make it a concoction. How this started is an interesting story. So back in the day, this was maybe the early 1900s. Viceroy Lord Curzon wanted to develop India's tea market because there was a surplus production in the northeast of India. Okay, and possibly he didn't find a market for trade, so he thought the easiest way to make money is ki market ही develop कर. Back then the Indians really looked at the British, chugging chai, rather tea through the day, and thought कि ये तो कुछ तो मतलब गंदा है. They saw it कि this is some addictive thing which you shouldn't get into. So there was a task given to Lipton and Brook Bond, these big tea producers back in the day, to develop this market. And how they did it was they added high milk content and high sugar content, and they sold it as a nutritious drink. And the rest is history. And by the way, tea really started garnering popularity after independence, like in the early 1950s. And of course, now you see this gradient of tea formulations across the country. Fun fact, when I was in UP for a couple of years, man, that tea, it's not my favorite tea. Let me put
It
put
Yeah,
it that
North
way.
India does not make the best tea in India for sure.
Yeah, and especially UP, and it's high in water content, high in watery milk
Milk
actually, and
itself is
high in,
watery. Yeah.
yeah, and high in sugar content. So once I was doing the market, for those of you who don't know, I did sales for a couple of years in UP, and I was in the outskirts of Kanpur. I went to this one tea stall and said, "Bhaiya chai dena, lekin shakkar mat dalna." Okay, and I was disgusted with the amount of sugar they put in Uttar Pradesh ka chai. Okay, he said, ठीक है भैया शक्कर नहीं डालेंगे. Makes his tea separately for me. I'm like, finally, I'm going to get good chai, have it. Can't even take a siplet out of it because it
Without sugar.
is, no, it is the sweetest chai you ever had. I said, भैया शक्कर नहीं डालने को बोला, नहीं का मतलब no. He's like, हाँ आपने कहा शक्कर लेकिन आपने चीनी नहीं बोला. That's when I realized. And in some parts of UP, shakkar and chini are different. So shakkar is linked to
Jaggery.
either good shakkar, which is jaggery, or slightly bigger crystals, whereas powdered shakkar is chini that you make chashni from. What's your favorite version of chai, man?
I think everyone's gonna have their mummy's version of chai as their favorite chai because that's what you grew
True.
up drinking the most, and naturally, I think you'll be inclined to like that. But having said that, Jodhpur has very, very nice tea stalls. I've not liked tea in Rajasthan generally, but these few tea stalls in Jodhpur make really good
Okay,
chai.
let's do trivia on chai, Ron. Of course, China and India, are the top two biggest producers of chai. Any guesses what the other three countries in the top five would be?
I want to say Sri Lanka, but they're so small.
Sri Lanka is number four.
Oh wow. Do any of these Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand do it?
Yeah, so Vietnam, Indonesia, Myanmar are six, seven, eight. Number three is Kenya, and number five is Turkey. Okay,
Oh
and
wow.
on to consumption. Can you name the top five countries in per capita consumption? This should be fun.
The British then must be pretty high
Sure.
up.
So the UK is number three, who do 1.94 kg per year, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Okay. And since you said Turkey, I think Turkey also could be
Turkey is
pretty high
by
up.
far number one
Oh
at
wow.
3.16 kg per year.
Wow. That's
Uh,
double
number
UK's.
yeah, number two is Ireland, number four is Iran, and five and six are Russia and Morocco, respectively.
I would have never gotten any of those. Hey, but is
Yeah.
it fair to say then, Sawan,
Hmm.
that tea, although it didn't originate in India, chai probably did originate in India, the milky sugary concoction?
You mean chai latte?
I don't think any Indian's going to lay ownerships over chai latte.
Yeah, I think you can say that. I think we've mastered the art of mixing milk and sugar in this tea concoction. I think it, yeah.
We'll move on to the
What's
next one.
next? Go for it.
Okay, next we look at the banana. Again, staple ingredient in any fruit bowl in India. Uh, but yeah, the origins are again not exactly Indian, but Southeast Asian, somewhere near Papua New Guinea is probably where the banana was first uh, grown. But then very early on, traders probably brought bananas to India, and I think the Indus Valley civilization there were remains of bananas that were found there. But that being said, India today has countless varieties of bananas, and in the city, growing up in Bangalore, I've just seen there's one yellow one that you get, a tiny yellow one, and there's a slightly longer green one, and that's the only varieties that we typically see around in cities. But in my hometown in Kerala, there are at least five varieties of bananas that are present in a household at any point of time. Of course, they may not be all ripe and ready to eat. They might be in different stages of ripening. And my grandfather has a cellar where he ripens bananas and all.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and depending on what meals you're having, you can somewhat pair bananas with it or have bananas as dessert and things like that. So very common in India today. at least in those parts of South India. And I can speak for, I think, Tamil Nadu and coastal Karnataka as well. We have those types
Oh,
of varieties of banana.
so
But
if you grow up in Bombay, you are for sure going to have a lot of Jain friends, so Jain, Gujarati, or Marwadi Jain friends who
uh-huh.
obviously can't eat potatoes and onions. So a very common substitute of potatoes for them is kacha kela. If you go to any of these Shiv Sagar classic type of places in Bombay and call for a Jain pav bhaji, you pretty much can't tell the difference. They'll put kacha kela in the pav bhaji and give it to you. Actually, it tastes
Okay.
not so bad.
Okay. Hey, I didn't know that. And this is the big plantain type thing, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Pretty sure India should be the largest producers of banana, no? Or
Yeah,
are we not?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Hey, bro, is it true? And obviously, this is hearsay that in South India, especially, laborers obviously consume a lot of banana, but apparently it's a chaser with alcohol.
With alcohol, yeah.
So they'll just go to a Tasmac or one of those liquor stores in Kerala also, have the whole nip, chase it with water, and
Eat a
and
banana.
stomp on a couple of bananas. Is that true or is
They
that
do
just
that, but I don't know why they do that. Maybe you know, the bananas have potassium, so I'm going to guess that, it's kind of like a salt balancer in your body and does not make you as hungover as you would be without one. Right. And just one other thing. The term banana republic came about because there were these companies, did a lot of Cavendish banana exporting, and they needed huge tracts of land to grow bananas, and they would support, dictators and rulers in Central America, where, those guys would turn a blind eye to their farming practices and give them huge tracts of land, and these guys would support dictators by paying them some money and all of that on the side.
oh, hence politically unstable banana dip. Oh, that is cool. That is some good stuff that I didn't know. Okay. So bananas are great dessert. It's my dad's favorite dessert, by the way. So talking about dessert, Indian desserts and two of the most popular Indian desserts. One, the gulab jamun, two, the jalebi. Essentially, both of them are fried dough in sugar syrup. Uh, and as you would have guessed by now, they aren't Indian. They are yet again Central Asian cross Persian. So they're called jalebis are originally called zalabia, and gulab jamun are called lukmat al kadi. Okay, came
Wow.
with the Mughals. Uh, Not much to add there except something cool once when I was researching. Oh, before that, again, a story from my time in UP. So there's this town called Michaelganj, okay, not too far from Shahjahanpur, between Lucknow and Bareilly, actually. So there, that town, Michaelganj, is known for gulab jamun. Okay, so if you just drive through that road, on you'll just find gulab jamun stores on either side, like 20 stores on one side, 20 stores on the other side. One guy's name would be mashhoor gulab jamun. The guy opposite would be सबसे
Famous.
मशहूर गुलाब जामुन. Opposite है दुनिया का सबसे लाजवाब मशहूर गुलाब जामुन. And by the end of it is दुनिया का नंबर वन सबसे गुलाब जामुन, मतलब गुलाब जामुन का भी बाप गुलाब जामुन. But damn delicious gulab jamun. And apparently, back in a lot of Sanskrit scripts, there is this one food item called pantua. I hadn't heard of it, but apparently it's a very famous Bengali confection. Instead of fried dough, it's made of channa, milk solids, and semolina, and looks exactly like gulab jamun.
Okay.
Which makes me wonder that origin of food may not actually be origin of food, but origin of the name of the food.
Correct.
So
Because
because
concept
trade,
wise, it's
yeah,
easy
because
for
how
people to
typical
invent
is it?
it.
People love sweet things, and of course, fried dough in sweet would possibly be the first thing you would make, right? And just because trade, the easiest thing to trade if is good food is what I think, right? Any
Hmm.
trader coming would have tasted something good, would have possibly taken it back and recreated. Of course, rose syrup dala hoga, thoda sa fancy, zaika vaika dala hoga. But just makes you wonder that what actually the origin of food is the origin of the food name.
Right.
So
Or the
maybe
most
gulab
popular
jamun,
variety of, or the version
variety of it. So,
that
uh,
food.
while a lot of historians record gulab jamun in a lot of Mughals and Persian history, maybe it originated in India. So maybe the trolls are right.
Nothing would make them happier.
Yeah, I have one more food item. So do you have any left?
I don't have anything in particular that I have a lot of research on, but I have a few honorable mentions. Dhania and saunf come from Iran. Garlic, again from Central Asia, which happens to be, I think, a hot pot of uh, creativity when it comes to food.
Wow. Okay.
Saffron is from the Mediterranean. Uh, Mint pudina is from Greece. And apart from that, I think rajma, the kidney bean or the red giant bean, that again came from Mexico.
Oh, cool.
Uh, Mangoes and coconuts again came from the Southeast Asia region, maybe from Sri Lanka, Maldives is where the coconut is from. Mango again, Southeast Asia. That's all I have. What's the last thing that you have, man?
Oh, before that, I have some honorable mentions as well.
Cool.
Apparently, dal bhat, which I've had every single day of my life growing up, is actually Nepali. You
That's
know,
dal rice.
yeah, dal bhat is rice and dal is dal. So it's hard to believe, but that's what the internet says. Obviously, you've heard the story of chicken tikka masala.
Right.
Chicken tikka masala is the UK's national dish, originated in this Scottish Indian restaurant called Sheesh Mahal, where one day someone made a chicken tikka kebab. It was really dry, and the person who ordered it hated it, told the chef to fix it. They go back, they add Campbell's soup, tomato soup, chunky soup, and a little bit of sugar, and that's the chicken tikka masala. It tastes disgusting, by the way. Uh,
So irate
Vindaloo,
customers are responsible again for quite a few.
that's true.
The stories
That's
that the potato chip also came from an irate customer who threw back his food to
true.
the chef.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and in fact, finicky customers is the root cause of a lot of food. So you've heard of Galati kebab, right?
Huh,
That king who couldn't bite into kebabs,
right, because
so
his teeth
had
weren't
no teeth or something like that.
existing. Yeah.
Anyway, so Vindaloo comes from obviously the most famous, one of the famous Goan dishes comes from Portuguese origins, as you would have expected, because vinha d'alhos. So vinha is meat, or meat cooked in wine, and alhos is garlic. So
Garlic.
that's how Vindaloo it gets its origin. Then obviously naan, you would have thought, is a lot of Central Asian breads look exactly like naan made in tandoors. Biryani is something we all know. One thing which I still can't accept didn't come from India is, okay, Ron, you want to guess this one? Uh, so it's Hindu kings that were ruling in Indonesia had this preparation of what they call kedli.
Idli,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, so Italy apparently had its roots from Indonesia. And I didn't even want to say it because I don't want to have listeners dissonance from episode 2 or 3. So
But I
apparently, Italy.
think the Indian idli did exist early on, but it was not made out of rice. It was some
Oh,
other
okay.
millet or something like that that was used. The rice
Cool.
idli is said to originate from
And
Indonesia.
Ron, when we started conceptualizing this episode of what we should do, we always thought of pulao because we always thought it's not Indian because of pilaf and pulao.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently it is Indian because all of this originated with rice exporting from India. At the end of it, what's really indigenous to India is rice. So pulao is just a trade back to India that we exported out in the form of rice. So last story of the day is counter to this whole concept of what you think is Indian but is not. So this one is not is you think is not Indian but actually is. So there's this very famous restaurateur that we'd all have heard of called Nelson Wang. And all of you would have an inkling of idea that Calcutta does have a Chinese immigrant population, which is shrinking obviously now. They also have a Chinatown, by the way. So Nelson Wang was a Chinese Indian from Calcutta Unfortunately, had an impoverished childhood, moved to India with very little money, worked at CCI, Cricket Club of India, uh,
Which is Brabant
and
Stadium.
obviously went on, yeah, uh, CCI is Brabant Stadium, yeah. Went on to create one of the, or open up one of the biggest restaurants in Mumbai, known as China Garden in Kemp's Corner. But one day when he was working at CCI, again went to a customer, disgruntled customer, who said कि मेरे को कुछ यार ये पक गया हूँ मैं यार ये चिकन टिक्का बटर चिकन खा के कुछ अलग बनाओ. Nelson Wang was like, "ठीक है sir जी." He goes to the kitchen, uh, puts his tadka of ginger garlic paste and kanda and all that. And instead of adding, what would have been tomatoes or some other Indian ingredients, he added soy sauce and corn flour. Then put his chicken in, and that was the origin of. Ron, you want to complete this?
The Manchurian.
Chicken Manchurian was thus originated in the CCI's kitchen in Bombay, not in the Manchuria province of China. Uh, so I was telling this story to my mom, and her mind was blown. Like she couldn't believe it. So she always thought Hakka noodles and Chinese Manchurian is as Chinese as can get. But I think a lot of people do know this story, but it's great to tell this tale yet again.
And I think that's the reason why, a lot of such preparations which aren't just Indian, people try affixing foreign names to it and try try selling it off. So the canteen in my engineering college would have chicken Hong Kong, chicken chicken
There's
Singapore,
one. Singapore.
Singapore noodles, and all of that as well. And unfortunately or fortunately, it didn't catch on as much as the Manchurian.
Yeah, at least your canteen wasn't casually racist. You'll have a lot of these restaurants in India who'll take it overboard. Chicken chui mui. Khao Chang rice. Oh man. Anyway.
All right.
Cool. So next time, guys, first of all, thank you for staying with us till the end of this episode. We hope you learn a little bit of new. We hope you can go and discuss this with your friends. Next time you chomp into something that you feel really proud about it being Marathi or Gujarati or Bihari, think again, it may not be. In all probability, it's either bought from the Portuguese, at least the ingredients, or if it tastes really great, it's
It's
from
from
Central
Central
Asia.
Asia.
Cool. So until next time, ciao.
Thanks for listening. Bye bye.